Thank you, everybody, for watching. We're here in Burlington today at Burlington City Park, and maybe we'll take a little scan of this amazing community. On your beginning of this trip, you're moving into the bread and puppet zone. So these are birds that were initially built in New York City to protest the Vietnam War. They are made of celastic rather than paper mache, so if it rains, we're pretty lucky. And can you turn around just for a second? So this is one of the famous white birds for peace, and now we're flying today with this large community gathering. So Bread and Puppet is celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. And these are all volunteers. This beautiful team right here, can I introduce you? This is a beautiful volunteer team. This is public community, and we're gonna show you guys how it flies. So you're gonna go down first, and you guys go up. And then slowly you go up, and you guys go down, slow, slow, slow. So count to 3, going down. Now reverse, counting to 3, going up. So this bird flew in New York City protesting the Vietnam War. This is a celastic mask and a beautiful piece from the Bread and Puppet Theater. So thanks for being here.
Pushing us out into gangs, wars, and drugs. And then they get pissed off at us when we become Crips and Bloods, Traviesos, Zoot-Suiters, Pachucos, Folkloristas, punks, bomberas, jaraneras in the heat, jaraneros with the bomb as beats, talking about what's really going on in the streets. In the 60s, in the streets of Oakland, California, Black Panthers organized for answers. Young lords in New York fought against wars. The Stonewall Rebellion remained true for the rights of the LGBTQ. AIM, who was down for native rights with no shame in their game. Brown berets in LA learning how to fight and doing what's right. In the campos of California, Filipinos were the first ones to lay down the boycott, screaming in solidarity, Isang Baksak, one rise, one fall. You come for one, you come for all. And today, Arizona and Alabama, they don't play, carving out racist laws like it's made out of clay. I stand with Emmett, Trayvon, Oscar, and Bell, with my mentor Mumia up in the cell, telling you I'd rather be blind than to stay quiet on a day where my people are hunt down like prey. Because my ability to breathe is directly connected to my ability to see. It's not about me, never was, never will be.
I just want to say, land back globally and free Palestine. I stand with my Palestinian brothers and sisters.
Hello, my name is Hannah, and ever since I learned about Gaza, I've been doing everything in my power to be able to try and say something and use my voice, because what's happening in Palestine is truly a crime against humanity, and it goes against everything I stand for as a person and what I think everyone should stand for as people. I believe that Israel is a settler colony, and it doesn't even have a right to exist.
So
but, you know, Palestine deserves to have a right to exist just like the rest of the world. It's like watching the Holocaust and watching the Native American genocide all over again, and those were also crimes against humanity. Free Palestine, people. Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
You want to say it one more time?
Free Palestine.
Into the microphone, ready?
Free Palestine.
We are here again from Burlington. We are gathering here today to stand with our Palestinian people who have been for the last 5 months suffering from the Israeli bombardment, suffering from the American support to Israel and the European support to Israel. What we are trying to do and talk to our Vermonters neighbors, to our American who are seeing this genocide happening in their name, that they have to stand up with us and to stop this massacre, and now. Silence is not an option anymore. It's the American money and American aid that going to Israel and killing Palestinian children, Palestinian women, Palestinian innocent people. If you stay silent, it is in your name. We appreciate people coming out today, on this day, and every day. We like to organize, and we hope someday people in Burlington and the villages in Vermont will declare that Vermont is apartheid-free community, that we stand with justice, with the human rights, with equal rights, and with the Palestinian freedom.
To the sea! Palestine will be free!
Palestine will be free!
From the sea to the river!
From the sea to the river!
Palestine will live forever!
Palestine will live forever!
Thanks everyone for being here today. This is an international day of action. Right now, there's a simultaneous rally going on down in Brattleboro, Vermont. Earlier this morning, the Poor People's Campaign put on a rally in Montpelier. Every week that we sit through our government participating in genocide, more and more people are coming out into the streets to demand an end to occupation and colonization in Palestine and around the world. So for this event today, our plan is we're going to have a short speaker list here. Then we're going to march down College Street to the waterfront and have a few more speakers down there. I think it's important to emphasize right now just how crucial this moment is, as Israel is planning a potential ground invasion of Rafah, which is pretty much the last safe place they told Palestinians to go, and now they've been dropping bombs. It's important that we come together in an organized effort, coordinated nationally and internationally, to speak out against the corrupt regimes which claim to represent our interests. There's a quote I like from a former UVM professor named Dr. Michael Parenti. He says, just because you don't know what they're doing does not mean that they don't know what they're doing. For them, war is a business. $682 billion went from our tax money to the military this year. Half of that is military contractors, which are businesses that make money directly off of war. It is profitable for them to be selling arms, to be dropping bombs. These are the times they thrive, but they don't represent us, and that is why we're out on the streets. You might have seen recently also that settlers have started moving into North Gaza, which is something that we have been saying and been called crazy for saying since October 7th and since long before. This is a colonial project. I don't think anyone can deny that with any sort of logical explanation. And before I introduce our first speaker, I just want to use this quote, which was the last social media post from Aaron Bushnell before he self-immolated rather than going to drop bombs on the people of Palestine.
Aaron.
What? R.I.P. Aaron. He posted, many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now. Our first speaker is going to be Flo from the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Thank you. My name is Flo, or Florence. I'm a high school teacher from St. Johnsbury, and I'm an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Of the countless harrowing images out of occupied Gaza, it's the photo of blood-drenched flour from what is already known as the Flour Massacre that says everything about the ruthlessness of Israel. Next, a planned ground invasion timed for the holy month of Ramadan, bread used as bait, community worship as a military target, fundamental symbols of hope, of life met with death. And we still have to explain that this is wrong. My question is, how many times are we going to take to the streets? The answer, as many times as it takes. How many times will we say, free Palestine? As many times as it takes. We all know the war did not begin in October. We know the brutality of the Israeli state escalates daily. We know so many things. We're saturated with the horror and the shame of it. But our fire will not be quenched. Why? Because it's working. The cracks are showing. Because this crowd is big and it needs to get bigger. The people are waking up and we're stepping into our power. It's the power of the people that thrust the US and Israel's crime onto the global stage, and only the people can ensure the success of Palestinian resistance. We must continue to reach into our communities, grow our influence, and interrupt the daily grind. The City Council of Burlington has proven to us that they are not interested in democracy. Shame. We played by their rules. When the people asked the council to take a stand, however symbolic, for a ceasefire resolution, they would not be moved. But did we stop? No. Are we going to stop? No. Damn right. I say, show me what democracy looks like. You say, this is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
The state of Israel is a fascist appendage of US imperialism, a brutal weapon used to control the region in exchange for support, a bloody transaction which has made Israel one of the most well-equipped militaries in the world, and Burlington taxpayers shouldering over 600,000 of the nearly 6 million from Vermont directly supporting Israel's crime of genocide. We all know this. By now we know. So how can our friends and families, our favorite celebrities, even our schools remain unmoved, insecure, and silent? Why do our institutions agonize over outright condemnation of Zionism? Because we're fighting generations of profitable cultural conditioning. It's in the movies and the shows, and in our video games, the benevolent white liberator, defender of the innocent against the subhuman brown marauders. Iterations of the same ass-backward story over and over again, only the landscape changes. Then the popular news media doubles down and says, look, it's all true, but we're not stupid. The people won't be fooled. I say, it's not complicated. You say, Gaza will be liberated. It's not complicated.
Gaza will be liberated.
It's not complicated.
Gaza will be liberated.
To grow our power here, we have to dig out deep-rooted prejudice in ourselves and the people we love and recognize it for what it is. It's imperialist brainwashing. It is the people who have always reshaped the world. It's the struggle that makes change. It's people power. Resistance is an act of love in the face of death. No right-thinking person in possession of all the facts wants to starve children or bomb hospitals or see their donations used as bait for a bloody massacre. So how many times will we repeat the facts? As many times as it takes. If you have a platform, use it. It's never too late to grow the movement. Whatever your sphere is of influence, you must take up the cry. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Wafiq from Vermonters for Justice in Palestine.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you again for coming. Thank you, PSL, for calling for this rally. I want to tell you the bad news that the Palestinians continue to suffer. More children, more women getting killed every day, hungry, thirsty, no medicine, no hospital left, no schools left. The good news, Israel lost the war. what kind of forces, supposedly the Fifth Army in the world, that they cannot stand for our resistance, what they do, kill women, kill children. You saw it on the screen. The other good news, when Israel lose, American imperialism lose. This is what Biden and Trump and the American administration scared of, because America lost.
America lost!
America lost its powers, its military base on the Middle East, and that's why they are out of control. That's why the green light to kill more Palestinians. That's why they are silent, and they ask you to be silent. If you want freedom for the Palestinians, if you really do that and you didn't come over here out of guilt and we should do something, you should ask for your own freedom. And your own freedom is from the Palestinian freedom. You cannot deny that. You are shackled with us. Our freedom from your freedom. And your government is a criminal government, and you have to stand to it. We can talk about what's happening in Palestine all day, but I want to tell you something. The Zionists who are shackling you over here, they still shackling you. We can be free, the Palestinians, because we are resisting. But if you don't stand up, you're going to stay shackled by Zionist organization here in Burlington, in Vermont. When you have institutions under the cover of synagogues and churches, and they are Zionists, they have no faith whatsoever. They still stand against ceasefire, a simple ceasefire. What kind of faith is that? What kind of faith is that? What kind of faith is that? We're going to ask you for a little bit more. More than a rally, more than voicing your voice. We asking you to go to your communities, to your villages, and bring ceasefire resolution, and now. Unconditional ceasefire. Unconditional stop the siege. Unconditional end the occupation. Unconditional stop American aid to Israel. One. Two, end Israeli apartheid. Adopt apartheid-free community here in United States. We stood with South Africa, and South Africa is free. Look at South Africa, where they are standing now. They are standing with Palestine on the international community, international court. Stand with us. Don't leave us, but voice your voice in your community and make Palestine as local as possible, because you are paying for that war. You are part of that war. Ask Aaron Bushnell what he said. You are part of that war. Stand with justice.
All right, so we've just got one more speaker before we go to our march, and then we will have a few more speakers down there. I wanted to ask if anyone could keep a beat. We have a couple bucket drums here. If you want to make your way over here, it would be great to keep a rhythm section on this march. And now I'd like to introduce my comrade Izzy from the Party for Socialism and Liberation.
Hey everyone, we're out here again in the lovely weather once again, aren't we? We're here in part of the biggest solidarity movement with Palestine in U.S. history. We know Biden could end this war with a stroke of his pen, could end U.S. aid to Israel with a finger. We know because the genocide rides on the back of U.S. support. Because the genocide rides on the back of U.S. money, dropping bombs, U.S. weapons, U.S. stranglehold on the United Nations that keeps them from effectively enforcing peace and enabling this sham of a war. We know this is bipartisan because the entire U.S. ruling class stands to gain from the continued Israeli apartheid state and from the continued Israeli colonialist project. We know because the U.S. keeps Israel around, keeps Israel supported to keep a fractured Middle East so that U.S. capital, so that foreign capital can profit over human lives. The Israeli regime is calling it voluntary migration, but what is voluntary about your home being bombed? About your hospitals being bombed? About you being lured into the street for aid only to be shot on the spot? We know that Palestinian doctors are being forced to treat wounds with salt water because they have no medical supplies. We know that the U.S. is responding not with aid but with further sanctions. And what is that? Genocide. That's genocide. More than 90% of Gazans are displaced, and where have they been displaced to? Rafah. And now Rafah is next. We know that the U.S. is responding not by aid, but by defunding the United Nations Relief Works Agency for Palestinian refugees. We know that the U.S. is culpable in the Israeli genocide. We know that Biden and Trump are culpable in the Israeli genocide. And now Rafah. Half the size of San Francisco, but twice the density of New York City. 60,000 people per square mile, and Israel is marching soldiers there. For what? For genocide. And we are out here today to demand an end to U.S. aid to Israel, to demand a ceasefire now. Ceasefire when? Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! We see how our mass movement has fractured the international stage, how the international world has stood up in solidarity with Palestine and has stood up against U.S. empire in solidarity with the people of Palestine. Western media prints in blood to dehumanize the Palestinian resistance. They would have us believe that if Palestinians just took it, just accepted their place in an apartheid state, that everything would get better. But they leave out that the Palestinians have tried peaceful resistance before, that every national liberation movement has tried peaceful resistance before. And what does that cause? More death, more suffering. Israel responds to peaceful protest with snipers. And we understand that when people are occupied, resistance is justified. When people are occupied, when people are occupied, when people are occupied, thank you.
Thanks. All right, so now we're going to prepare to march. We are going down College Street. We are going to take the street, and we are going to march down to outside of the Echo Center, where we will convene in that circle there and have a few more speakers. Sound good? Yeah! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
All right. Let's go! If everyone could start moving this way, I think, what's our plan? We're gonna line up kind of on the sidewalk over there, and then we're gonna take the street.
Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Money for jobs and education! Money for jobs and education! Not for war and occupation! Not for war and occupation! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Long live Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine!
You can go that way.
Free, free Palestine! Long live Palestine! Free, free 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 Palestine! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Thank you all for coming today. Right now, we are joined by people marching in every major city in this country. And it's beyond this country too. Right now in Cuba, tens of thousands are marching in Havana with us. All over this country, we have been doing this for over 5 months, and despite all the threats, all the smears, all the repression, we are not going away because nothing can turn us away from what is happening. And nothing can turn us away from what we need to do to stop this. We have to be incredibly clear that Israel is the United States. They are part of the same imperialist war machine. That is why when we show up for Palestine, we are not showing up for a struggle going on that's over there that we have no connection to. We are fighting the war machine in its entirety. We heard the words of Aaron Bushnell, the soldier who self-immolated to protest the genocide in his final social media post before his death. I'm going to read it again. What would I do if I was alive during slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is, you're doing it right now. As Rachel Corrie said 1 month before she was killed by an Israeli bulldozer in 2003, this has to stop. I think it is a good idea for us to drop everything and devote our lives to making this stop. We are here to see their words through. And it has never been more clear that we have the people and history will be on our side. I'm going to hand the mic back over in just a minute, but the last thing I want to say is maybe the most important, because it's a question to you, and it's a question of strategy, because for the last 5 months, and in some ways for the last 25 years or so, these rallies have been our main protest tactic. And we show up and we show that we are the majority, and we make noise, and we make the issue unavoidable in everyday life. And it's important, and we're going to keep doing it. That's what we did today. We were loud, and we're going to keep being loud. But it's clear by now that these rallies are not going to be enough in their own right, and that if this is all we do, they can just ignore us. So these rallies are only going to be worthwhile if we translate this energy into long-term, disciplined organization. So the question to you is, when you go home today, what are you going to do to continue the struggle beyond marches, beyond social media, beyond just making noise? What are you going to do to step into the trenches to build this organization that we need? I'm going to end with a quote from George Jackson, who was a political prisoner in the 70s. He had a very famous quote from his book, Blood in My Eye. Settle your quarrels, come together, understand the reality of our situation. Understand that fascism is already here, that people are dying who could be saved, that generations will live poor, butchered half-lives if you fail to act. Do what must be done, discover your humanity, and love in revolution. Free Palestine.
All right, so we've got 2 more speakers. Next up, we've got Vivon.
Can y'all hear me okay? I didn't plan much to say. I'm not a brilliant speaker. We've got some good ones behind me. I think internationally, my comrades have expected me to speak on the subject of hope, of revolutionary hope. I haven't been feeling very hopeful as of late. I've lost a couple of comrades in the West Bank. I've lost some comrades in my home country of India last week. I feel revolutionaries dropping like flies. I was asked by a Yemeni comrade in a Zoom call this weekend, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing to prepare to strike? I said, we've got a rally this Sunday. They said, no, Saturday. They asked me, where are these proto-Narodniks that you're always excited about? Where's the escalation? And I didn't know what to tell them. I knew that in Vermont, I've seen great strength, great organization, great resistance. But when they asked me, have they gotten organized, I didn't know what to say. I invite everyone here, and thank you for this amazing showing, to move up one step. If you're in the back, come to the middle. If you're in the middle, come to the front. And if you're in the front, you know, meet me afterwards. Let's escalate. And I think let's not stop escalating. I think when I told them about the rally, they said that sounds like great therapy. And that was a blow. That one hurt to hear. But I accept what they're saying, because it's true that we can only get so far resisting imperialism. Very soon will come the time where we have to strike back, and we will strike back organized. So I double down on what Logan said. Let's get organized.
All right, and now we've got Ashley Smith, who has also got an announcement about an event going on tomorrow. Brothers, sisters, siblings, we stand amidst an impending humanitarian crime that Israel is going to commit in Rafah. Israel has driven nearly 2 million people to the Egyptian border. They've laid siege to it. They've starved it of aid. They're bombing it, and they're preparing a ground invasion. This is a genocide happening before our eyes in Palestine, not just in Gaza, also in the West Bank, also inside 48 and throughout all the Middle East. That's why we're here today, to stand in solidarity with the Palestinian struggle for liberation. We saw the genocidal intent of what Israel is preparing to do when they bombed people trying to get flour, killing 100, wounding over 700. This is the crime that they're about to commit to 2 million people in Rafah. People across the country, people across the world are marching today in solidarity with Palestine, and they're sending a message to the Biden administration. Never again, not in our name. We will not let a genocide happen on our watch. In Michigan, Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians, working class people voted non-committed in over 13% of the people who turned out in the Democratic primary. Over 100,000 people sending a message to the Biden administration: you have got to call for a ceasefire now. We are the majority in this country and around the world in solidarity with Palestine. And we're about to have an election where our supposed alternatives is the architect of this genocide, Joe Biden, and a wannabe dictator, Donald Trump, both of whom are supporting this genocide. And tomorrow we have a supposed alternative coming to this state, Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is going to be speaking at the DoubleTree Hotel at 1 o'clock. So the Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation has called for a picket to protest her speaking in this state. People should turn out tomorrow at 12:30 at the DoubleTree Hotel in South Burlington on Winooski Avenue. And I just want to say a couple of things about where Nikki Haley stands, because Nikki Haley is pretending to be an alternative when she's actually part of the problem, part of supporting the genocide. She has called for Israel to finish the job in Gaza. She supports the ethnic cleansing of Gaza. She is a reactionary on every single question in our world today. She is for tax cuts for the rich. She is for union busting. She opposes trans rights. She opposes abortion rights. She opposes rights for us to protest and dissent in this country. So we are calling for a picket to give her an unwelcome to the state of Vermont. We are going to chant tomorrow, Nikki Haley, take your hate out of our state. Take your hate out of our state. Take your hate out of our state. Take your hate out of our state.
Our governor, Phil Scott, has endorsed Nikki Haley. He has endorsed somebody who is calling for finishing the job in Gaza. That puts Governor Scott on the side of genocide. So come out tomorrow and give Nikki Haley of Vermont unwelcome, telling her to go back where she came from, and nobody should vote, support, or give alibis to this woman. Anybody who says finish the job in Gaza is guilty of genocide. So we say to her, Nikki Haley, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Nikki Haley, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Nikki Haley, you can't hide. Nikki Haley, you can't hide. What everybody has said at this rally, I want to underscore. If you're not organized, get organized. Join a union, join a political organization, join the Vermont Coalition for Palestinian Liberation. We've got organized enemies. We have to have an organized resistance here in this country in solidarity with the Palestinian resistance, because our liberation is bound up with Palestinian liberation. Free Palestine.
All right, and we have another announcement from Bread and Puppet Theater.
Thank you, everybody. We want to thank all these volunteers who are out flying the white birds for peace today. Thank you. And after tomorrow's event, if you want to hightail it up to Bread and Puppet Theater, we will be doing an emergency Palestine Mass at 3 o'clock. We've been doing this Mass every Sunday since October, and we invite you to join us in the ballroom at 3 o'clock, and we'll see you downtown tomorrow. Thank you.
Another point to mention on the Nikki Haley event tomorrow, there will be people disrupting inside the event. If you're interested in participating in that, come talk to Jackson over here. And also, if you're interested in giving a statement on CCTV, speak to Charlie over here. And I don't have much more to say, but I want to thank everyone for coming out and continuing to come out. I've seen so much organization grow in this state in a way I never thought I would see in the past couple months. We need to keep this going, and I think it's really important right now, while we're paying our taxes, filing our taxes, while we're going to vote, to think about how much are we really doing when we go to vote? How much say do we have? We don't get to vote on our military budget. We couldn't even get an anti-apartheid resolution on the ballot here. How much power do we really have? Do we live in a democracy? Is this how the model democracy of the world is supposed to function? No! So what we need to do is get organized ourselves. Power comes from us being out in the streets. I encourage you to talk to organizers, identify organizers. If there are no organizers in your community, take up organizing your community. We need as many people as we can to oppose this genocide and to make sure that this is not the status quo for our lifetimes or forever. Thank you.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Free, free Palestine! 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 Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! All right, everybody. We're going to march back up to City Hall
and then we're going to disband. And after we go home, just remember that this does not end today. This does not end here. We need to continue the work. We need to carry the struggle forward into our everyday lives and into our organization. So please get behind the banner, and we're going to walk back up College Street.
We are all awake to the genocide of the Palestinian people by the Israeli government at this point. You cannot ignore the bread massacre. You cannot ignore the atrocities that have been going on for over 50 years in Palestine. You cannot ignore that. What we must do now takes a step above this rally. This rally is amazing. It's a first step, but what we need is something called an action. There's a difference between an action and a protest. A protest is where you go out and you voice your opinion and you show that this matters, we're the majority, and this is something you need to care about. But an action challenges directly the political oppressor, which is what the goal is tomorrow. Going against Nikki Haley, having our voices heard, going against the city council when we talk to them, when they voted down a ceasefire, when they voted down calls for apartheid-free Burlington. That is an action. To go talk to your representatives, talk to those in power, and directly confront them with the issue and get them to support a ceasefire and get them to call for a free Palestine.
Hey, my name's Nick Ruderman, and I'm just joined this rally here, part of this group trying to stop this U.S. imperialism. Been going on for many, many years, generations. All this land here is stolen land from the Abenaki people, and the thing is that racism is centuries old, and anti-Semitism goes hand in hand with Islamophobia. And if you find anybody that's anti-Semitic, they're also Islamophobic. It goes hand in hand. Anybody that's telling you otherwise is lying. Any of the heroes that people worship, Voltaire, Marx, Engels, they're all racist, anti-Semites, Islamophobic. And the changes here. The internet is letting people know what's going on, and we're not afraid anymore.
Hello, I'm Avi Salloway. I'm here in Burlington, Vermont. I spent many years living in the region in Israel and Palestine, working with young Palestinian and Israeli youth musicians in a group called Heartbeat, transforming conflict through bringing young musicians together to co-create and better understand each other's realities. And I'm deeply mourning right now the crisis and the war that's happening in Gaza and all over the region. And I believe the only way forward is through diplomacy, ending this endless support of the occupation militarily and investing in person-to-person relationships, building equality and more consciousness about each other. And I believe it starts here at home in Burlington and across the world, and we're here in support for creating a new future that is led by peace and justice. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Zimmerman from down in Guilford, Vermont. I'm with my friends here, Karen and Karen from the Brattleboro area. And we drove up north to take part in the Poor People's Campaign in Montpelier, but we're very excited that there was a march happening that we could make it to. There's also a march down in Brattleboro that we also have solidarity with. But we're here for the day, and we're just grateful for the organizers to give us a place to come together with other people, because the news is very painful. It's very probably the most difficult thing in my lifetime in terms of the inhumanity of the situation, and none of us really know what to do, but coming together does help. So we appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Karen Hoover. I'm with the Workers Center, and we were in Montpelier today, as Ann pointed out, and we were with the Poor People's Campaign there, but we feel very, very strongly about the Palestinian situation, every day is torture to hear that there's no ceasefire. And we came from Montpelier up to Burlington to give our witness to the genocide that's going on in Palestine. And as a wish at the end of this particular rally, it was that we need to go home and take the next step. And we were given the opportunity to speak right now. So this is the next step for us, and we'll do more when we get back. Thank you.
We don't have any more long political speeches planned or anything like that. But we're going to take a minute of silence for all of the fallen martyrs in Gaza, in Palestine, in the last 5 months, and the last 75 years. Thank you. Final reminder that if you want to participate in the disruption tomorrow, come down here, find Orange Jacket. There's a lot of interest, so please be sure to get your name in there. As we go home, for the final time, we want to reiterate that this does not end with rallies. This does not end with just making noise. This does not end with social media posts. We have to form communities, we have to form networks, we have to form organizations, and we have to build an organized resistance to this genocide. Be sure that you leave with a buddy, in pairs, in a group. Don't leave alone. Be sure that you get home safe, and we're going to send you off with the words of Assata Shakur. Everyone take the hand of the person to your left and to your right, please. Take your hands, hold them high above your head, and repeat after me. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Free Palestine. Thank you, everybody. Get home safe.